My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Gravity. Now, when I first saw this movie, it was in 3D, and it's just one of those movie theater experiences you won't ever forget. Like, it was just something else entirely seeing this movie on a big screen. And at the time, everybody loved this movie. It got critical acclaim, it got nominated for a bunch of Oscars, but like so many movies that everybody loves and that everybody's like, yes, this is an experience. Over time, people have turned on it. Now they call it overrated, they call it mediocre, they call it bad, and I just simply do not understand it. I just don't. This movie is one of a kind. It is an experience to be had. And it still holds up even when I'm watching it in my living room. You know, it's just this survival story set in space. This woman, her space shuttle is destroyed, and she has to get to safety. That is the entire movie, but it is so excellently made. It is the best of this kind of movie. The best Lost in Space movie that will ever exist. And what this movie does so well is that you feel the endlessness of space. That with one little slip up, one handle that you're supposed to grab onto but you miss, can just lead into you floating on forever into space. It is a terrifying thought, and you just feel that. That tension is in every moment of this movie. You know, there's one scene where she grabs a fire extinguisher to push herself to a space station, and if that fire extinguisher runs out before she's there, that's it. She's gone for. So, like, the odds of her making it out of this situation alive are so minimal, and that's what really keeps this movie going. It is just a nail-biting, edge-of-your-seat, tense and thrilling experience. And Alfonso Cuarón directs the hell out of it. The cinematography is beautiful. The first, 10, 15, 20 minutes is all one shot, and it just doesn't draw attention to itself. It's just so expertly handled. And I love all the different shots above Earth. You just gain a sense of how small we really are. And even when they're going towards a destination that's far away, you just get it's so small. You just get a sense of it. And it just heightens the tension even more. It really immerses you in the situation. The production design is really fantastic as well. The visual effects are just stunning, like absolutely flawless. If you told me this actually happened and this is real life footage, I would believe it. Okay, maybe not, but I would believe it based on the visuals alone, I'll say that. And the sound in this movie is just expertly handled, or should I say the lack of sound. Because you're just watching all this destruction happen, and it's not like, no, it's just, because there's no sound in space, and that makes it all the more terrifying. This movie is also like an hour and a half long, and it just flies by. It is so tightly paced, and the musical score by Stephen Price is absolutely phenomenal. It adds emotion in moments when it's needed. It adds a sense of triumph when it's needed. And it's just music I could listen to all the time. Like, 2013 was an amazing year for musical scores. You know, you had this movie, The Croods, Saving Mr. Banks, The Lone Ranger, Man of Steel. I'm sure there's plenty others I'm drawing a blank on, but this movie won it, and I can't even be mad about it. It's just that good. And if you know me, you know how much I love the music of The Lone Ranger. So, just technically, it is just a masterpiece. But I do think there's a bit more to this story than people give it credit for. Yes, it's a very simplistic story of a woman trying to survive, but the characters do have some level of complexity. I've heard some people complain about the fact that her daughter is dead, so they couldn't get on board with her motivation to keep going. And I just can't wrap my head around that. I think that is a stupid complaint. The fact that her daughter is dead and she's still trying to live is what makes this movie so powerful. She's losing the will to live. The chances of her making out of this situation are minimal, but she keeps going. And it is just so beautifully done. Like, the last scene in this movie just moves me to tears every time. And I do think this movie is a lot more emotional than it gets credit for. And even though it's a bit on the nose, the imagery of rebirth is still really great. The cast, there's only two actors really in this movie. Like Ed Harris' voice is in this movie, but he's not. So you've got Sandra Bullock, who I do like as an actress. I just feel like she's not in as many good movies as you'd think someone like her would be in. I love her in Miss Congeniality, in Demolition Man, in Speed. She's fine in The Blind Side. I like her in Practical Magic. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. This is her best performance, though. She carries this movie so perfectly. She's able to highlight the nuance of her character, and she adds emotional depth, and I think this is her finest work. But you've also got George Clooney, who is great as well. I really like him in this movie. He is the perfect counterbalance to her character. He's so charismatic and likable, and he just adds personality to this movie. So, yeah, like, I love this movie. The hate it gets nowadays is just baffling, but what you gonna do? I personally love it. I think it's a technical masterpiece. I think it's intense and thrilling, and space is just a character here. The endlessness of it has never been so terrifying, where you feel like the main character could die at any moment, just if she messes up for even half a second. I think the cast does a great job. There's some real emotion. The music is incredible. I absolutely love this movie. I do. And if it ever comes back to IMAX 3D, I'll be there day one. So I'm going to go ahead and give Gravity a 9 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Gravity? You can't. It's not something you can see. But what do you think of the movie? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon. And Gavin out.